All right, joining me on the podcast for the first time is a man who is very well known in the space. We have some mutual acquaintances. He's a former Air Force officer and is now the host of the Michael Sartain podcast, and he co-hosts Access Vegas with Rollo Tomasi. He's also a men's performance coach. It's Michael Sartain. How are you doing today, sir?
Man, I'm doing great, man. Great to be on here, Paul.
Yeah, I'm glad we were able to put this together, but we were talking a little bit off air, but also just announcing all the stuff that you do. You're a busy guy, dude. Like, how do you do all this stuff? How do you fit it all into a day?
I always like to recommend books. Some people, one of my favorite quotes, I just heard this from Patrick Bet-David. He talks about this. He goes, some people name drop, you need to book drop. So this is what I want to do. I always book drop. The first book that changed as far as productivity for me, changed the whole game for me, was The One Thing by Gary Keller from Keller Williams Realty. Just coming to the understanding that humans cannot actually multitask. What happens is when you get into deep work, it's when you're being left alone. And when you think about your brain, almost having like gears in a semi truck. If I have to go from third to sixth to fourth to second and go back and forth, that's very bad fuel efficiency. But if I can just stay in sixth gear for several hours, I'm going to get great fuel efficiency, right? And I'm going to do less damage because I don't have to switch as much. That's how you have to think about your brain. People understand that when it comes to their muscles, but they don't understand it when it comes to their brain, right? We understand isolating muscles when it comes to working out, but we don't get it when it comes to our brain. So the one thing, getting great at one thing and becoming elite at one thing. And so the second book I would recommend for everyone is called Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. And one of the great things about Dan Martell's book is he goes over these ways for you to hire people to take things out of your life that are not productive. Once you get to a certain point, if you find a business that's scalable, what happens is you start to see, okay, my time was worth $50 an hour. Now I'm worth $200 an hour. Now my time's worth $500 an hour. Should I really be taking up my dry cleaning now? You see what I'm saying? Like, that's when you get to that point. Ryan Pineda says about $250,000 is the point at which you need to just start hiring people to. That's what you take home a year. That's about the point where you need to start. You need to start hiring people to take over certain aspects of your life, and so that's what I'm doing. Me and my business partners, we're trying to hire someone to take over every single aspect of the business, still with oversight. And then there's incredible CRM software that's able to allow you to do that, like Slack. That's able to, for you to monitor stuff like that. So I've got 60 people that work for me with editors and my partners and my 2 social media managers and people like that. So it's just, I think those are the best ways to understand those 2 books. The other one I'll tell you is The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. You don't really want a 4-hour work week, but what you do want is some of these ideas, like I only check my email twice a day. I don't let it drag me down during the entire day, right? That kind of stuff that's in that book for efficiency. By the way, I'll tell you another thing that helps me. I'm about 30 feet away from the bed I sleep in right now. And I'm about 400 yards away from the Aria in the Vegas Strip. And below me, 130 feet below me is my gym, right? The gym. So like the efficiency of, like, I don't drive to work. I get out of bed and I'm at work. And when I want to go party with my friends, it's like a 2-minute drive. I could walk to the Aria from here. Right. So that kind of stuff is where that's another function with efficiency is concerned. Well, actually, if you go through the Men of Action course, the second pillar is called efficiency. And so we go over different things that people do that kind of screw themselves up when it comes, and even when it comes to like present moment awareness, being able to focus on one task for a long time, knowing when to give yourself breaks, how to incentivize yourself to do deep work. Stuff like that is what we go over. But yeah, I mean, the efficiency thing is one of the most important things I teach. But everyone just wants to learn about girls. So that's what they end up doing the course, because they want to look at the boobies.
It's, what's funny about this is a lot of guys do come to this type of space to learn how to get the girls. And when they really do the work, the guys that really do the work, I'm not talking about the guys that just cherry pick certain information and try to memorize pickup lines and stuff, but the guys that actually do the work on themselves, they'll find that the whole process of getting the girls makes you a better man in general. It makes you more efficient in lots of different areas of your life. So it's like one big self-improvement program,
It is kind of controversial when you think about this statement. It's like, if like men, our general desire, like where men get our validation is from compliance that leads to sex, and women generally get their validation from attention, which leads to resources in general. Obviously, there's some women out there that get compliance just from sex as well, but not quite as many. And in seeing that, you have to ask yourself, okay, I'm a 14-year-old kid, and my validation would come from my validation would come from the opposite sex. What would I need to do in order to get their attention? I need to get stronger. I need to get faster. I need to get smarter. I need to make more money. I need to be a protector of loved ones. I need to be, a more dangerous, useful individual. Well, it seems to me like those things that would make me more attractive to the opposite sex also make me a better human, right? And so you look around and you're like, oh, we're not in the caveman days anymore. We have skyscrapers. We put ships into orbit. How do we do that? Because people were accomplishing goals in order to gain higher status and higher sexual selection, regardless of what you believe. Like, you can even go through any man's story you want to go through, where it's Albert Einstein or Steve Jobs. There was always a woman they were trying to impress. Specifically in those cases, same thing with Warren Buffett and it marrying his housekeeper. Like, it leaves his wife and marries his housekeeper. Like, there's always these things where you see men trying to compete with other men for access to women. But what happens, though, with the benefit of it is society. The benefit of it is brave men willing to storm a beach to protect their country. That's the benefit. The benefit of it is the invention of, telecommunications and space travel. That's the benefit of it. So I don't know that necessarily, though, that like women's necessity for attention creates the same benefits, if that makes sense.
That does make a lot of sense. I've heard it said that we would all still be living in mud huts if it wasn't for us chasing tail, Yeah.
It's Aaron Clary puts it a different way. He goes, it's not us chasing women. It's us chasing female youth and beauty. He said the world runs on female youth and beauty, not on women. It runs on female youth and beauty. And it's like really interesting the way he says. I'm not sure if that's what I believe either, but I think it's an interesting way he said that.
Hey, so you stayed to the end. If you're watching this, I have a gift for you. Click the link below and I will show you how to position yourself as a high status man for free. Yes, free.